Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Drink it in, man.
Deep left side carry on. Picks on the block. At the 5, at the 2, at the 1 to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Drink it in, man.
Get up, Stafford throws. It is end zone. Caught! Oh, baby, what a catch! Kenny Galladay, you're a freak! What a catch! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Cornbread! I love the Lions! Say it with me! I love the Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Welcome to the Detroit Koolaid Cast, everybody. This is Griff coming to you. It's here on Friday. It's been another beautiful week here in the state of Michigan. Nice and mild, but it is heating up this weekend. It's going to be sunny, though, so get outside. Go play in your yard. Do a few things with your kids before you really get into the football season, if we're going to have one. But that way your kids are still around and you can play football with them, toss the ball around, maybe go for a walk around your neighborhood. But it's one of those things where it's going to be nice, and it's going to be that fall-like temperature that we're all kind of looking forward to, especially with training camp starting. So, as always, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. A couple things I want to start here with training camp starting up. Bob Quinn said that they will be bringing the 90 players to training camp, which means they're going to have a little more of a split squad. A lot of the rookies will be working out with some of the younger people, and then the veterans will be working together. I'm not quite for sure if this is good or bad for the team. I know Bob Quinn said that everyone that is at training camp is there for a purpose, obviously trying to make the team, and they're obviously trying to get the best roster available that they can. It's one of those strange things. I know Derek's spoken about it on his Believe in Lions podcast, that he's looked at the back end of the roster, and he knows there's guys there that don't really stand a chance of making the team. So why don't we just cut them from the start, and that way you can kind of work everybody out together, as opposed to having the two separate squads. With that being said, I have to agree with him on that. I think there's a lot of guys that get brought into camp, especially longer camps where there's a lot more hitting, where you're playing the 4 preseason games, where a lot of your stars, obviously, they don't play during the preseason games a lot of the time. But even maybe that second tier guy where they don't get as many reps because trying to keep them healthy, because I don't want to say, for lack of a better term, they kind of know they're going to be on the roster. So it's all those young guys out there trying to get the tape, that are out there on the preseason games that get a lot of the playing time. But you ultimately know that these guys really don't stand a chance of making the team. So it sounds cold and heartless to say, yeah, just get rid of them. I realize this is their dream, probably since they were little kids. But if they can go out there, maybe get some footage for some other teams. I don't know. It's just an odd off season with everything going on. And I think it would almost be better for the team if everyone was able to practice together as best as possible, having fewer guys there at training camp than having a couple different split squads. I realize there's points where, Matt Patricia, they can say, okay, we want to see this group, and they bring out different guys at different times, and they can set it up that way, as opposed to like, you're in Group A and you're in Group B. I understand that, but I think the more you get to work with the guys, especially the way this offseason has been, the better it's going to be for the Lions. So I can see Bob Quinn's point of view. I don't necessarily agree with it, but he's the one who gets the big, get paid the big bucks, by the Fords to go out there and put the best squad that they can together. So I'm just happy, something's going to be starting back up. I mean, there's no preseason games, so there will be a lot of work. Some other teams, are out there starting as well. Saw something saying, Tom Brady had a great first practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm sure, we're going to be hearing the same stuff just as soon as the Lions are able to get out there on the practice field. So-and-so looked good. This person looked good. I think anybody's just looking for a tidbit of good news right now, with football. So any little bit, we're going to hang our hat on. We're just going to be salivating for, what's going on, what's the news, what's happening, who's healthy, anybody dinged up, something like that. We're just all jonesing for right now. So even though they got the 90 guys in, some of the guys that are going to get released, cut, we're never going to see, or hear from again. It's just one of those things we'll just have to deal with. It's not affecting us. Obviously, just sitting back waiting for football. So training camp's here. 90 guys doesn't affect us being there, but I would much rather have them just cut those last 10 and just go in with a smaller group. That way the guys can practice a little more together. A little more good news this week was everybody that we saw last week that Matt Stafford was put in the protocol with the COVID-19 test. There was a lot of rumors out there. It's like, did he test positive? What happens is you can either be put in if you've been in contact with somebody that has been tested positive, or if you tested positive yourself. So he was put in it. But then earlier this week, it came out that it was a false positive, so he was eligible to go back on to the team in practice. And when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, great, good. He didn't have it. That's good. We can go out there and practice. But then it seems like whenever you hear, like, oh, it was false positive, it makes you think, well, can he still get it then? Is it going to be like one of those things like in week 3, week 4? It's like, oh, Matt Stafford tested positive for COVID. So it's just like we're kind of kicking ourselves, going, dang, just like, oh, we almost kind of wish he had it at that point. I never wish that on anybody anyway, but I'm glad he's healthy and happy, especially with his family. And it's just one of those things now. It's just I hope it doesn't, I hope everything's okay and everything gets under wraps so this doesn't coming later where he has to miss time later in the season, especially, like Derek and I both feel the team's going to be, good this year and much improved. So the Lions need Matt Stafford to be on the field for this team to go where they want to go. So, good for him. I'm glad he's healthy, and I'm glad that he's able to go out there and practice when the practice does start up. Let's do this. Before I get going into other things, let's take a pause for the cause here, and be right back.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
Welcome back, everybody. Once again, this is Griff coming at you. It's here on Friday, and if you want to touch base with me, if you disagree on anything, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Grifka DKC. That's at GRIFKA DKC. Feel free to call in the line there. It's 989-272-3484. Once again, 989-272-3484. Call in, text in any questions. Once again, we'll read them on the show. Or if you want to call and see if we can get you even on air, that's a possibility. Me and Derek have been kicking around to see if we could work that out. But the thing I want to talk about, I'm not trying to make it an all COVID show, but I saw this question on Twitter, and I don't know if it was within the Lions in general or if any team in general. If a team is, if the season's played, either it's shortened or, there's a lot of players right now opting out of the season. I mean, they're taking a small amount of money for it, but obviously not their full salary. But somebody's like, should there be an asterisk, next to the champion saying, well, you won because of this reason? And that's one of those things where I've always thought, no, I always thought that was dumb in any sport, shortened season, players injured, something like that. At the end of the day, nobody's going to remember, how you won it, why you won it, what else was going on. 10 years from now, I mean, if the Lions were winning the Super Bowl, this year, 10 years from now, we're just going to be like, hey, remember when the Lions won their first Super Bowl? Oh, it was great, awesome. And, all of us are just going to be, you and your friends are going to be sitting around just reminiscing about what a great year it was. But you're not going to sit there and go, well, yeah, that was the year they had COVID, though. So, so-and-so opted out. A lot of New England Patriots opted out. Stuff like that. Nobody's going to care. And so just go out there and win. And I think I responded to something on Twitter saying, who cares what players opt out? I understand, why they have it, medical reasons, birth of children, they just don't feel comfortable with it, so they'd rather sit out the season than not chance it. I get it. I'm all for it. I got it. I completely understand, but I don't think it really cheapens a championship if that happens. It's kind of like the same, being said when, major players get injured. On other teams, it's just we all saw what happened with the Lions last year when Matt Stafford went down. I mean, we all what they were capable of. All those backups with the many injuries. Like I said, 5 years from now, nobody's going to remember. Well, Stafford was injured and so was injured. I mean, they're going to look at the record. We're going to look at the record and say, "Gosh, that was a terrible year. Look how bad they were." And it happens when other teams lose good players as well, and they have bad years. I mean, nobody sits there and goes, "Well, they were hurt. This guy hurt." Nobody cares. The team's fans don't care later on. The year Peyton Manning got hurt for the Colts, and they pretty much tanked. I mean, let's face it. Andrew Luck was out there, and they pretty much tanked that season. I can't remember the quarterbacks they went into the season with, but the Colts were able to go get Andrew Luck, and they ended up releasing Peyton Manning. He did have the neck injuries and stuff like that, so it kind of worked out. But as Colts fans, they're not sitting there going, "Oh, we got Andrew Luck. Yeah, we were so bad the year before. Yeah, but Peyton Manning was hurt." I don't think they care. And the same way I look at it is if it was to happen to the Lions, if Aaron Rodgers opted out for some reason, or if he got injured, or on Minnesota, if Dalvin Cook got hurt and he wasn't there, or the Bears, if Khalil Mack, he had to, sit out the season, or if he decided to opt out and that put a big hole in their defense, I don't care. I never did. It's just, you just kind of roll with it. I mean, it sounds kind of stupid, like the mantra, next man up mantra. I don't think it really matters. I mean, nobody's going to remember it. You can look in the media guide. There's not going to be an asterisk next to it saying, "Well, so-and-so had this guy out. This guy opted out because of COVID." So it's one of those things, just wish for the best. Hope your team stays healthy. I wish no undue harm onto other players. I don't. If they opt out because of COVID, I mean, they have their reasons. And I'm perfectly okay with that. But I don't want to cheapen a victory for any team with this. It's like you went out there and won it. I mean, you have to kind of think back to other years. I mean, the year the Washington Redskins won the Super Bowl, when they beat the Miami Dolphins, that was a strike-shortened year. There were scab players, and some teams, got victories with scab players. I mean, does anybody remember that? Yeah, you vaguely remember it, but nobody brings it up. Everybody just remembers the Super Bowl. Well, it was that 4th and 1 where John Riggins, busted off that long touchdown run when the Miami Dolphins had the defensive line stacked. They had everybody up there knowing they were going to run the ball, but Riggins was able to bust off and, rumble for a touchdown, pretty much salt the game away. But nobody remembers that was a strike-shortened season because nobody cares. I mean, nobody's going to sit back and say, "Oh, but do you remember this?" It was, no, they won. So with everything happening, no matter what team wins, there's not going to be an asterisk next to it saying so many players either opted out or it was a shortened season. The NFL decided to shorten the season because of it. It is what it is. I mean, we're strange times right now, so I'm not going to be one to say, well, it was because of this. So I hope other Lions fans feel the same way if the Lions, certain key lines, decide to opt out, or if more injury bugs happen. It is what it is at this point. So that's kind of the way I look at it as a Lions fan. So guys like Geronimo Allison, he opted out. Kevin Strong opted out. They have their reasons. Okay, good luck to you. I hope you're healthy. I hope everything works out for you. Maybe you'll be back next year. If the Lions, Bob Quinn decides, okay, let's re-up, let's get this guy, bring him back. Or they may decide to cut you because somebody stepped up in your place and they really like what they did instead. Now, that's a chance they take, but the guys doing it feel obviously their health and family well-being means more. They just don't want to chance it. So once again, good luck to everybody on any team. If the guy opts out or not, I hope everything works out. I hope your family stays healthy. I hope you make it through okay. But once again, I'm still going to sit there and root for the Lions. And hopefully everything works out there. So once again, Matt Stafford, I'm glad you're good, and I'm glad you're out there and going to help the team and your family's okay. So I like to hear that stuff, and so nothing's really cheapened by this whole situation. It's just strange times right now. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take one more quick break here before I get into my last topic I want to cover. It might be something that you guys all enjoy. So when we do this, let's take one more short break. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Once again, it's Griff coming here on Friday. Just wanted to touch base on, if you want to touch base with me on Twitter, hit me up at GrifkaDKC. That's at GRIFKADKC. Or call or text the line there. It's on 989-272-3484. Last thing I want to touch base with today is starting to be training camp, and I always get to itch for football movies at this time. So I know there's a lot of good ones out there, and a lot of people can debate me on it, and like which ones I like, which ones you like. But I'm going to go through my top 5 and give you my top 5 reasons, or my reasons why these are my top 5 favorite football movies. Once again, if you disagree with me, agree with me, hit me up on Twitter. I'll throw these out there as well, so maybe we can get a little debate from some people. But once again, Twitter is at GrifkaDKC. So let's do this. I'm going to count down from 5 to 1, and we're going to go from there. So number 5 on my list of my 5 favorite movies of all time. I know it sounds stupid, but I really like The Waterboy. I know it's just a dumb movie, but it's one of those movies, anytime it's on TV, I stop and watch it. It's obviously, I watch it for laughs. I'm not looking for, real in-depth, uplifting movie, even though that's, part of it as well, It's so funny. Me and my friends always quote movie lines from it. It's, I just really enjoy it. I know what it is. I'm not looking for anything in really depth, but how can you not like The Waterboy? It's just such a funny movie. So many great lines, cameos by Bill Cowher, Jimmy Johnson sitting up in the stands. It's just a good movie, and I really enjoy it. So that's number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list. Now this one goes way back, and that's Brian's Song. It's I'm talking the original with Billy D. Williams and James Caan. Once again, that's Billy D. Williams as Gale Sayers and James Caan as Brian Piccolo. This was actually originally made for TV movie, and I remember watching it. This is one of my favorites because it is kind of uplifting. It's really uplifting actually, but yet still really sad. And I remember watching this movie with my dad when I was a kid. I remember sitting there on the couch, and it was just on. It wasn't the first time it was shown when it originally aired. It was later, and it was sometime in the early '80s when I was watching it. And I remember watching it with my dad. And mind you, my dad was in the military, and he was in Vietnam, so he was a pretty tough guy. And I didn't see him cry a whole lot, but I just remember at the end of that movie, it had already been through the sad part, where Gale Sayers tells the team that, Pick has cancer. I mean, that made me I know that made me cry when I was young. Even now, I still well up when I watch the movie and I see it. And at the end, where Piccolo obviously dies, and Jack Warden, who plays George Hallis, kind of does the outing, the little exit, speech about him. I mean, that right there, I'll be bawling like a baby even now. And I know when I watched that with my dad, when I saw that, I was just crying so hard. I ran out of the living room, and all I can think of is like what went through my dad's mind at that point. It was like either my son's going to be a sissy or something like that. I mean, I know it sounds dumb and mean, but that movie even now makes me cry. Now the remake that they did with Mekhi Phifer, that one's okay, but this one, the original with Billy D. Williams and James Caan, that one by far it exceeds it, and I really, really love it. So that's number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list. Now this one, I kind of go back and forth with number 3 and number 2 for me. But number 3, I'm going to go with Remember the Titans. Now, once again, Remember the Titans. This is, the Disney movie, very uplifting. Love it. Love Denzel Washington in it. I think one of my favorite lines in it, I kind of say it to people even at work when if I'm chatting with somebody at work and they're like, something's happening, and I'm not saying in general, but I love it when the 2 best guys on the team are talking, and he's just like, why should I bust my team? Why should I bust my butt for the team? And he's just like, well, that's the worst attitude I've ever heard. And he's just like, well, attitude reflects leadership, Captain. And I love that line because it's right. I mean, it says so much right there in such a small line that it kind of goes with anything. I mean, people can have bad attitudes, but sometimes your attitude does reflect the leadership that you're getting, either, on other teams, at work, things like that. So I think it's just a small line way that, it really affects me, and it always kind of makes me step back and think, yeah, that's right. But the way that team was brought together, what they did, I realize there's a little bit of, poetic license in making the movie, because stuff that's based on true stories, I always love to go back and check what it's based on and what really happened. Now, if you want to look, go ahead, but yeah, that TC Williams team did win the state title, and I know in the movie it makes it look like it was so close, because I remember watching them, like, I really want to see a 70-yard end around go for a touchdown. I mean, that's amazing. As like the last play of the game, your defense would be back, so somebody should be back there, even with all the great angles and blocks they did. I'm just like, how does that go? I'm talking about that with my friend. I'm like, how's that go for a touchdown? So I looked it up, and it's just like, yeah, they won the state finals against that team, but they actually kicked the crap out of that team. I mean, that game wasn't even that close. So I'm just like, okay, little poetic license there. So it kind of takes a little tinge off the movie for me, but still, it's a great movie. It's number 3 on my top 5 list. So, like I said, my number 2, it kind of goes back and forth at times depending on how I feel. And number 2 with me is the program. Now, I love the program. It's just, I saw it. I saw it. It came out when I was in high school, and yes, I saw it with the original clip of like the kids laying in the road, and then they took it out because dumb kids were actually going out and laying in the road and getting hit by a car. But other than that, the movie's still great. I love it. I know it's a little over dramatic, but one of the lines in that movie that I really, really love is where the backup quarterback's trying to get back on the team, and the coach, James Caan, is like, but when was the last time you ever saw 80,000 people show up to do a damn chemistry experiment? And that's right. That pretty much, states college football to a T. That's why people go to the games. I mean, and we know, why people are, we hear student athlete, and we know there's a lot of smart young adults that go to college to learn other trades other than be there for sports. Even the kids playing sports are there. Most of them are learning, another profession because they're not going to be a professional athlete. But it seems like that line right there, when's the last time you had 80,000 people show up for a chemistry experiment, it pretty much just puts everything into, for me, kind of into perspective. It's just like, yeah, you're right. That's why sports in college are such big business, and that's why everybody's, looking for it. That's why everybody kind of is hoping that the college football season goes off this year, even with the pro football season, because it is big business, and people like to lose themselves. Either you pick up a fan of one team, like once again, like Derek's a big fan of Michigan. I'm a big fan of Michigan. I did not go to the University of Michigan, but I'm a big fan. But there's big alumni bases for any school that just love their college and want to, watch their football team play. I'm a lot of friends with Michigan State fans, Ohio State fans. Still, it's one of those things we're just hoping that football happens this year so we can watch it. But yeah, the program is another one of my favorite movies. I love how overdramatic it is. Obviously, there's probably, once again, a little poetic license with stuff there, making it a little more than what actually happens. But still, once again, I never played college football, but I know the practices can be tough. I have plenty of friends that did play college football, and they said, yeah, some of it's like that, but yeah, some of it's not that bad. So, still a great movie. I love it. So that's one of those movies. I'm going to throw it in here probably pretty soon as well. So there's so many good movies. Once again, I'm only giving you my top 5, but there are a few that did miss the cut, which debate me on Twitter if these fit. If you think mine are stupid, that's fine. Once again, my Twitter is at GrifkaDKC. But just a few that missed the cut that I love as well. Friday Night Lights, I love that movie. All the Right Moves, back from the early 80s with Tom Cruise. Once again, high school football movie. That's, in Western Pennsylvania. It's just another great movie. The original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds. That movie has Joe Kappen from the old Minnesota Vikings. Ray Nitschke's in it. He's one of the guys on the guards team as well. The old Green Bay Packers been a linebacker. The remake with Adam Sandler's not too bad. I'll watch that movie a little bit from time to time, but the original Longest Yard with Burt Reynolds is so much better. I mean, you're going to bring up Rudy, The Express. Those are great movies as well. But once again, they're just right outside my top 5. So my favorite football movie of all time, and I really love it, and I know if you've seen it or if maybe you disagree, and that's North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte. Now, North Dallas 40 is actually based on a book written by Pete Gent. Pete Gent played basketball at the Michigan State University, and the Dallas Cowboys drafted him to play wide receiver. So he played on the Dallas Cowboys for a number of years, and the quarterback in North Dallas 40 is loosely based on Dandy Don Meredith from the old Cowboys team, and obviously the coach is based on Tom Landry at that time. Now, that's one of those movies, once again, I'm sure the games, the practices, this is like late 70s football. So some of the stuff that, shown in the movies where like the two offensive linemen are talking about taking out the defensive tackle, kind of like a cheap play to bust up his knee because he was, the defensive tackle for the Chicago team has been pretty much abusing them all night and getting back to the quarterback and disrupting plays all evening. So obviously the coach of the North Dallas team was chewing their butt out saying, you got to handle this guy. So they kind of, conspire to, do a dirty play to hurt him and take him out of the game. And just, I'm not sure. I don't want to think that happens. I want to think that, all guys are noble, but you hear things, so it probably could happen. And then other things like where there's the rookies on the team, they're, I guess, treated a little different. I know they're treated different now, but still, it seemed like the older guys aren't looking to help them. I've said that before. The thought process: this young guy's here to, take my job. I got to watch out for him, so I'm not going to, help him learn the ropes. It seems like the NFL is a little different now. I could be wrong, but it just seems like there's a lot more older guys taking young guys under the wings, where, as opposed to that time where the money wasn't there like it is today. Maybe that's why they did it. They had to keep playing just for the paycheck, where the young guys are not, treated the same, where they're kind of pushed down. It's like, this is my rep. You stay out. I got this. Even though that guy could be better, the older grizzly veteran wants to be out there to make sure that he keeps his spot on the team. That's shown in the movie as well. Waking up the next morning after a game all banged up and dinged up. I mean, we've all heard those stories, but Nick Nolte does it so well. He's laying in his bathtub the next morning, just laying there, just trying to loosen up because he's so banged up. And the line that I love the most in that is near the end of the movie, where John Matuzak's in the movie, and it's where he grabs the coach. Charles Durning's playing like one of the coaches on the team. He's not the head coach. He's one of like the offense coordinator or something. He just grabs him and he's just like, every time I call it a game, you call it a business, and every time I call it a business, you call it a game. And even to this day, I still think it's thought of that way, where we think of it as a game, and I know me and Derek talk about it, we talk about the salaries of guys. It's a business. You can't hold on to guys too long. Pay them when you can. Back there in the 70s, it's probably even more than that. Even today, and I know when Logan's been on us, he said even guys know what they're worth now. Like younger guys know what they're worth, and their agents know what they're worth. So it is more of a business. It's more of what their livelihood is. Even back then, guys were doing that, but like guys like us, we just want to see a game. We love the game. It's the game. We love to watch the game of football, where these guys are out there, blood, sweat, and tears, getting banged up, in practice, getting beat up, hoping they don't, injure something, pull something, tear something, where they're out, or, career ending. This is their livelihood. So when John Matuzak grabs, Charles Durning by his shirt and says that to him, I still think it holds true today, and it's just a great movie. I love North Dallas 40. I think it's really under the radar, simply because a lot of good movies have come out. I named off a bunch of good movies where people are like, that's so much better than that movie, or maybe there's a few I haven't named off that you like instead. But, feel free, let me know. It's like I said, it's that time of year. I realize these movies have nothing to do with the Detroit Lions. It's just football season. And these are movies I tend to watch when football season, gets rolling around, where preseason games are happening and I watch a quarter and I'm tired of it. I'm going to go throw in a football movie, and it's one of those movies. I have a number of football movies, but those are my top 5. It seems like I watch those at some point every year. I realize a lot of them are on TV all the time as well, and I'll stop and watch them for a little bit when they are on. But once again, if you have a different list, if you don't like some of my thoughts, hit me up on Twitter at GrifkaDKC, and we can kind of talk it out and debate it on there, because once again, you may have something that you like that I didn't mention, or there's you just don't like something that I have and you just think it's not that great a movie. So that's okay though. Reasonable minds can differ. So once again, football season's upon us, and hope everything turns out well and we get some football, season going here soon. I realize no preseason games, so it might football early in the season might not be that great, but everybody's just trying to stay healthy, happy. I hope everyone well. Lions fans, drink it in. We're here for you guys, and I will me and Derek will be back together next week. So everybody have a great weekend. This is Griff, and thanks for listening, and have a great weekend. Bye.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.